Hello, wild people. Welcome to AK Wild One. Today, I'd like to talk to you about a recent hike where practically everything went wrong and the lessons I learned. Thank you for tuning in. We have a saying in Alaska that anything can happen at any time, and I have a story to prove it. You'll excuse the fact that I have very little primary photographic support for this story, but I'll include some video from recent trips to help support it. So here we go. Flash, Blisters, Bern, and I set off on a 2.5-mile hike up a local mountain. The elevation gain is about 2,000 feet, so it's quite steep. It's basically our training mountain we like to often hike to help us get in shape for long-distance backpacking trips. On the way down from the summit, I spotted Bern near a snow patch lifting an animal up, and I could tell immediately it was a porcupine. And then I heard her yelping. My heart broke. We rushed down and saw that Bern had more than 100 porcupine quills along her mouth, in her nose, in her mouth, and down her throat. We quickly pulled out the quills near her eyes as close to the skin as possible and scrambled to put together a plan. We would have to get Bern down the mountain, a very steep descent, and get her to the vet. Medevacs for dogs are not a thing. Bern was crying and rolling in the dirt and did not like walking down the hill, so we had to drag her at times. We could see no other way. Carrying her was out of the question because she squirmed a lot and would probably poke us. After 10 minutes, Flash was pushing hard downhill, slipped on one of the steep sections, and twisted her ankle. It was the same ankle she sprained last year on the Pacific Crest Trail in Oregon, but this injury was not as bad. So I took Bern's leash and told Flash I would try to get her down the hill while Blisters took care of his mom. Bern resisted a lot. She would walk about 10 feet, stop, try to roll her nose in the dirt, and I would pull her forward. Sometimes I raised my voice at her to keep her moving. Tough love, but it probably didn't come across as love. It was during one of those moments when Blisters heard me and thought I was calling for him to come help me with Bern, and he rushed down the hill after me, tripped, and landed on his shoulder and dislocated it. Flash called me on the cell phone as I was about 200 to 300 yards ahead and told me the news. She said it would be slow going for both of them, but she wanted me to get Bern down the hill and get her in her kennel. I was so hyped up, I remember ending the conversation by saying, "Okay, no one else gets hurt." It seemed like an eternity getting back to the truck, and I was worried about her, my son and Flash. I called a couple of friends along the way to Valdez to see if they might lend some assistance, and one friend said he would meet me with some first aid supply along the road. Bern actually rolled down the trail, and it seemed like she was getting too exhausted to continue, but she finally made it. Flash's ankle was sore, but okay, and Blisters found a comfortable position for his dislocated shoulder and was stable. Bern actually jumped into the back of the truck, unaided, and gladly got into her kennel and laid down. Then I went back to help Flash and Blisters, met them on the trail, and we walked down back to the truck together. Once we were back at the truck, we loaded up and drove 90 miles to Valdez, picking up some ice from our friend for Blisters' shoulder, and we drove on. So, the long story short, Blisters had his shoulder put back in place, and that procedure went easily. And it took about an hour to remove all of Bern's porcupine quills that were stuck all over her face, nose, and throat. And Flash's ankle, while a bit sore, didn't require any treatment. You'll be happy to know that we quickly started laughing about our great debacle our cascading series of unfortunate events, our trifecta of trail horrors. And now, a few days later, I've learned a couple of lessons I'd like to share with you. Number one, no matter how skilled you think you are and how routine a hike might seem, anything can happen. When things go wrong, they can go terribly wrong in a hurry. Murphy's Law squared. Number two, once Bern quilled herself, panicking served no purpose. We knew we had to get her back down as quickly as possible, so getting upset was counterproductive. I had to force myself to stay focused on the goal and not panic. The goal was to get down the mountain as quickly as possible. Number three, the most important lesson, that was once an accident happens, the next most important step is to contain the damage. Don't aggravate the situation. Don't make matters worse by moving too quickly or to the point you risk gaining further injuries. Once I heard blisters had dislocated his shoulder, I walked more carefully and slowly down the hill with Bern, knowing we couldn't afford to have me injured. I also didn't want to get into a car accident, so I made sure I drove carefully to the vet, even though the drive seemed again like an eternity as it was 90 miles away. Number four, consider your end game and the resources that can help you along the way. I was thankful that I could reach out to a friend to provide us with first aid supplies and ice. That helped make our situation better. Next, realize you'll learn some lessons from these kind of events, and this new knowledge will probably help you when you encounter something similar the next time you're in the outdoors. And finally, even while all this was happening, and when everything seemed to be going wrong, I was thankful for all the beauty I had experienced in the outdoors. I knew living an outdoor adventurous lifestyle has risks, but a life of complete security is death. The worst day in the mountains, to me, is still better than the best day on the couch. I never felt pity for us or embarrassment. Well, wild people, all of us are healthy and recovering. Bern was humbled, but she's now back to being the bossy husky we've grown to love. And so this concludes my hike from hell. May your next hike be challenging. May your ankles stay true, your shoulders in socket, and may you escape being turned into a shish kebab by a porcupine. And so, until we meet again, live loudly, my friends.
I'm not made of brick nor stone, but more than flesh and bone. This old body is a temporary home, like poetry of the soul, written on a scroll. I will be your temple if you need. So I'll shed the old skin from end to end, the old inside out to the new. If I see you down the road before the continents explode, I will be your temple if you please. I am more than flesh and bone. I am the river fast and strong. I am where I belong, on the long winding road to the sea. I am the shelter from the storm, the fire to keep you warm. I will be your temple if you need. I will show you the path. I'll man manifest your dreams so you can leave me behind. You are blessed, you are washed clean. When I'm gone, remember me. And I will be your temple, I will be your sanctuary, I will be your temple if you